Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. We're going to be knitting today this sweater you see behind me, which is my cross-country pattern. I have it available on Ravelry and Etsy, and today I'm going to take you through, well, multiple days. I will take you through the process of beginning to end knitting this sweater. I'm going to be using a silk yarn, which I hand dyed, so it'll be a nice lightweight summer sweater for cold evenings or early fall warm days. Alright, let's get started. Here is the yarn. I'm going to start with my sample, and we always want to swatch and sample our knitting so that we can gauge how much yarn we're going to need and how many stitches we need to be prepared to do. I'm using a very thin silk yarn, and I'm actually going to be knitting with 3 strands together. I am going to film my cast on process here, but I do want to specify that this is not a beginner level how to knit your first knitting project video. This is an intermediate pattern, and in order to successfully complete this pattern, I expect that you already know kind of the basics. And what do I mean by basics? Knit, purl, doing ribbed stitches, decreasing, increasing. I think that covers it all. Those are skills that I expect you've already learned by this point. Otherwise, you're just going to be really frustrated. This is going to be a difficult pattern for you if you haven't already acquired those skills. And I don't want you to get frustrated and quit knitting forever and say, oh my god, I tried to knit this cute sweater and it was impossible and I'm never going to knit again. No, start with a nice scarf. Start with something small so you can feel accomplished, ready to learn new things. Big challenges. This is like a couple projects into your knitting life. So yeah, as you'll notice, I'm not telling you how to cast on, you're watching as I do it. And I do want to make a note about knitting with multiple strands, particularly small strands, or if you're knitting with multiple fiber strands. Fuzzy yarns. I love to experiment with yarns. You really want to be careful that you don't split your yarns. So see how I have 3 yarns in each stitch. When I knit into that stitch, I really want to make sure that I'm gathering all 3. I don't want to split it and pick up one because that's adding stitches. So here we are. We're gonna add, there we go. And now we're knitting. Woohoo! Here we go. And when I started this cast on, I gave myself a kind of ridiculously long tail. See, there it is. That's too much. I normally knit that tail into the first few stitches just to secure it. Get it out of the way now, I don't need you anymore. And here we are. We're just gonna knit, knit, knit. Alright, I'm gonna speed you through this process and I will show you at the end what my swatch looks like.
And here is our swatching. As you can see, I played around quite a bit with the needle size and combination of yarns. I played around with using 2 yarns, 3 yarns, adding in a cotton white yarn in there at some point. And on the right you can see the sketch that I drew of what I'm imagining the color blocking to look like. To see more about my process of deciding the design, you can check out my video on color blocking and designing for knitwear. And now we are ready to cast on our actual project. So to get the number of stitches that you cast on, what I tell you in my pattern is to take the waist measurement times the number of stitches per inch, which you got from your swatching. That's how you get that number. and then you divide that in half. So what you're doing is you're taking half of the waist measurement. So that is the front half of your sweater, and then later you'll knit the back half of your sweater. So you're only casting on half of your full width of your waist. This concludes video number 1. Thank you for checking in. I will continue to update and post videos on this particular project, so stay tuned and happy knitting!